Hey everybody, it is Prince's Friend, and it is Friday, and the final review for our new album week is coming at you today. I'm kind of excited about this. We've actually had a really fun time with this week. I noticed that since these bands aren't necessarily Prince related, except for Shelby J, they did get a little bit less love than normal, but I'm hoping that you guys will give these reviews a chance, and maybe you'll find new music that you like. You never know. So the review for today is Humanz, the new album from the Gorillaz. For those who may not know the Gorillaz, it's actually a project created by Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlet. One of them does the music, a lot of which is actually made on his trusty iPad, and that's Damon Albarn. And the other one does all of the animation, and that's Jamie Hewlet. The band itself, the animated band, consists of 2D, who does lead vocals and keyboard, Murdoch, who does the bass and the vocals, Noodle, who does guitar, keyboard, and vocals, and Russell, who's drums and percussion. Now, this is their 5th album, and they've been away for about 6 years due to the creators having a falling out after their 4th album. I think the breakup did the band some good, though. I think it gave us friends of the Gorillaz a little bit of a breather. They were releasing the albums pretty quickly there when they were releasing them, but I think it also gave Jamie Hewlet a chance to update the band itself. With Noodle, who is the little girl who started off as a 10-year-old when they first started in 1998, now she's grown into a woman with attitude. The others in the band have grown and changed over time as well, but none more than Noodle. But I like that there's an evolution to the band. I think it's been an interesting ride, and I can't say that they are exactly the same band as when they started in 1998. They began actually as a full experience. It was the Gorillaz with, a couple of guest vocalists here and there. Most notably on the first album, Del the Funky Homo Sapien. The evolution of the band has turned them into what we have now, which is Humanz now having an 80-20 split, with 80% of the tracks have guests. Now, this is honestly a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because it introduces audiences to more artists using the Gorillaz as a platform, which I think is good. It also allows them to kind of play around with different sounds and stuff, which they might not necessarily be able to actually do on their own. They've become almost like the DJs that we're seeing a lot popping up here and there, kind of like Uptown Funk. It's not a Bruno Mars song, it's Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars. This, I think, ups the Gorillaz' cred as well, their credibility. It's bad, though, because I really like the Gorillaz sound, and I actually dig Damon Albarn when he's kind of working unfettered by having a whole bunch of guests on the album. Their 4th album, which was called The Fall, is 90% just 2D vocals, which is David Albarn, and I loved it. I realize that I'm in the minority there, because The Fall is actually one of their least popular albums, but I dug it a lot. With all of that said, though, this album, Humanz, is really good. So I say let's go ahead and get into the tracks. I am going to go ahead and skip over the interludes, mostly just because they're really, really short. They add a little bit of atmosphere to the songs, but they don't actually change the songs themselves.
The sky's falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash. The sky's falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash. The sky's falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash. The roof is on fire, she wet like Barbra Streisand. Police everywhere, it's like a nigga killed a white man. I just wanna find a baby mama for tonight, and so don't be coming real.
So this is a great opening track. It's such a party song on the surface, and basically has a deeper message when you start looking at the lyrics. I love the chorus that goes, "The sky's falling, baby, drop that ass for a crash." Like, I think that's just awesome. But the song itself is actually about racial inequality. See a theme here from yesterday's review, and how it feels like the sky is always falling on a black person in America. Now, I'm a fan of the flow that Vince Staples has, and I almost confused him as maybe a relative of Mavis Staples, but I guess they just have the same last name. But I haven't heard of this guy. But that's actually one of the things that the Gorillaz do really well, is introducing me to new vocalists that I can try out later and see if I like their stuff outside of the Gorillaz collaboration. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
When your private life is dreaming, and you will find the light you need.
So Strobe Light is a really funky track with some R&B groove. It's sung by Peven Everett, and it has a real old school vibe to it, which I think really plays off the almost retro music playing behind him. There's some great keyboards in this song, and it's about being a star and what it's like when your private life is also your public life, essentially. Only by taking yourself out of that strobe light will you find what you really need. I would also like to point out that this is the second album this week that had a track called Strobe Light, so I think that's really interesting.
All my life I'm in a staking bar, I got debts, I'm at the base of all my life, sad and about to my love, and I'm just a heartbreaker. I won't get a taking, cause I'm out when I'm staking in the rain.
So I dig this song a lot. This is the second video released off the album, and it's really great. The band goes into a haunted house and things kind of go crazy. I love it. Musically, the song itself is classic Gorillaz. Features a rapper primarily on the track, with 2D singing the chorus in his laid-back, haunting way. I've never heard of this rapper. His name is Popcaan, but he has a reggae style that I may need to look more into. He fits this track really well, if nothing else, and it's easily one of the best tracks on this whole album.
Clocks on the wall, of the watches on the wrist. It's the moments we relive. It's the moments like this when it's time to get ill. We be so ahead of time. It's the moments we achieve. Just believe it's the moments.
Made up and yellow, red, gold, white, dirty
Moments.
It always feels good when the Gorillaz collaborate with De La Soul. They've previously worked with De La Soul on Feel Good Inc. and Superfast Jellyfish, and like each song that they do, I think honestly gets better than the one before it. The beat thumps in the background, really drives the track along. It kind of reminds me of chants done by like step groups on college campuses with the Momentz, you know, like it has like that really awesome. The song itself is about not letting those great moments pass you by in life. You can tell that De La Soul have really refined their sound, and working with the Gorillaz just helps bring that out even more. And De La Soul is one of those old school groups, and I think that they have a really good camaraderie on this album.
And it got to me when you say you love and you walk away. What could you be on? Now you're not around, but I hope you see.
This is one of those tracks that has the gorilla sound that I was talking about earlier. Kind of electric sounds with a great bass line, and it climbs and descends octaves all the time throughout the song. It's funny because David Albarn in an interview said, well, I don't think that we have a sound ourselves. We kind of change our sounds to fit the artist that we're working with. But honestly, like, they have a sound that you can listen to a beat and you're like, I think that's the Gorillaz. So anyway, Submission, this song is a good track too. The singer Kelela really takes advantage of the mood created by the Gorillaz, and then the rapper comes in. The rapper's name is Danny Brown, and I'm not that big of a fan of this rapper, to be honest, but everybody has different tastes.
That's what I want. Such a everything is so to get it. I just don't know where I'm getting it from. What is the cause of it? And when in the case, then do you know that you're wrong? What do you say now? Don't you get
So Charger starts off with some great reverb and continues that throughout the song. I actually wasn't expecting to hear Grace Jones on here, but I've always loved her. I remember back in Boomerang, with Eddie Murphy. She's really raunchy in that movie. The verses from 2D have a cool flow to them, kind of going up and down in tone. Sadly, the song doesn't really go anywhere from where it kind of starts. And you guys have heard me say this about certain songs that kind of stay in their lane. I was expecting it to like drive harder and then harder and then harder, but it kind of was like, we're gonna go hard, and then it just stayed that level of hard. It didn't grow, it didn't change, but it's an okay song.
Take it in your heart now, lover. Take it in your heart.
And here we get our first primarily 2D track. The rest of these tracks so far have really been somebody and then 2D kind of coming in and singing in the background. But D.R.A.M is the DJ on here, so his influence is more the arrangement and whatnot. He says a couple of lines at the beginning, but it's a pretty laid-back song, really leaning on the keyboards and the kind of beat. I've gone over the tracks. I can't really figure out what this song is about, but it's a really nice listen, and the "Take It in the Heart Now, Lover" is actually pretty cool.
Busted and blue. Out in the universe, through the lithium, busted and
Busted in Blue is a simple little ballad. This song is similar to the Because the Internet review that I did, and I'll put a link there for you. It's actually about 2D physically being lost in the internet and eventually not being able to tell what is real and what is fake. However, he never gets free, and he's kind of just lost virtually forever, making this a pretty eerie song.
just like a carnival game, just like a carnival laugh, just like a carnival go, just like a spinning me round and round and round, hey, just like a carnival.
Now this song makes you feel like you're caught in a carnival, which is the name of the song. It feels like there's music going on over here and you're in one of those spin-a-whirls where you're kind of going around but also spinning as well, and then you're kind of going up and down, and then the music comes in and out, and it makes you almost feel like you're all dizzy, but that's the song, and I really, really like that. Anthony Hamilton's deep vocals really kind of switch in and out of his falsetto, and it really adds to the feel, again, of kind of like that. The pauses in the beat during and right before the choruses also really heightens this effect. I think it's a damn good song. It's sung super well.
All the world is out of your head. You got to die a little if you want to live. Change come to pass. You best be ready for it.
So we all love Mavis Staples on this channel. We're all Prince friends. Mavis and Prince had an amazing relationship together. She does an amazing job singing the bridge on Let Me Out. Pusha T, also, if you haven't checked him out, he's an awesome rapper. So I think that the combination of the two of them, like his flow, her gospel feel, with 2D's vocals also in there, I think it just comes together into pretty much the perfect Gorillaz song for this day and age. For me, this is the best song on the album. I think it pulls you in a bunch of different directions, and yet it feels cohesive. I think also, again, since the message is about racial equality and whatnot, I think that's also an important message, as I have talked about before. I'm loving that there are so many artists out there who feel empowered to talk about these topics and to not just sit back. I think we're in a new political age where people are feeling they have to talk out about these things and help people come to the realization that we are not where we need to be. So when I listen to this, I can hear it playing in the background of like a slasher movie taking place in like a nightclub or something. From what I gather, and this is a personal interpretation, 2D is someone suffering from mental illness who has been left behind to his own devices. As much as I actually dig this song, it sounds a bit underproduced. Like they went into the studio and they had a really cool idea and were in the middle of forming that idea, but they were just like, hey, let's just put it on the record. Instead of kind of letting it gestate just a little bit more. I think it really could have gone somewhere, but again, this is one of those that kind of stays in its lane.
She the Serpentine, she Makalah. I send a message, never call her. And now I wanna taste another. In this segment of the song, but she's Makalah. Nothing to be justified in.
So this is a kind of cool, haunting song about a woman who has a hold of your soul. Whatever you do, you think about her, and she's a collar on all of your decisions. The tone of the song suggests that this isn't a I'm faithful to my woman, and it's more of a if I step out of line, my woman will kill me. I really like that it's got a simple beat, and that it's primarily sung by 2D, although we do have another guest vocalist come on, and I don't want to mispronounce her name, but Uchis. And she's got an interesting voice. I think I might check her out too.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, money. Hallelujah, money. Hallelujah, money.
So this was the very first song that was shared for the album. It was released right after the inauguration of Donald Trump as president, and it's a really kind of creepy, eerie track, especially sung by Benjamin Clementine, whose low vibrato is just mwah, it's just amazing. The song is about how we have this tree, and it's a beautiful tree, and it's everything that is good about us, and here's this guy telling us, well, in order to keep our tree safe, we have to build a wall. We have to keep out all the bad people who want our tree. And of course, I'll build the wall for you. And of course, love is the enemy. We don't want to share our tree with them. We need to keep it for ourselves. And thank you for trusting me, and I will take your money. But that's basically it. It's a really, really creepy song. It's sung kind of offbeat and sounds kind of gospel-y, but it's a really good track, and it's poignant in our times. And then this is the last official song on the album, and it's kind of the antithesis to Hallelujah Money. It chants, we got the power to be loving each other no matter what happens. It's an uplifting and fast song about the human spirit. The idea that change can happen if we believe in each other and work together. And I think it's a good song to end the album on.
I am a broken screen, I'm a map routine that just bottomed on, and I'm over it. I am the distant voice, I'm inside your head, and you don't know me. I am over it.
So I was lucky enough that when I pre-ordered the album, I had a couple extra dollars, so I threw in for the special edition that gave us 5 additional tracks. And this first one, The Apprentice, is a good one. It's all about how young black people are a mirror of what society sees them as. But that mirror is broken, and that image is becoming more and more shattered. We as black people are more than what we're perceived to be, and this is becoming more apparent every day. Musically, it's sung by some really talented vocalists, using 2D's voice as more of an accent, which is actually nice, despite my usual gripe about that sort of thing. But this is actually one of those songs that I'm like, this should not have been on the special edition. This needed to be on the album.
Cherry 8 fountain. I found mercy.
So here we have another track with Peven Everett. This song is about a journey to a destination. I'm not 100% certain about what it's talking about, because in one case it sounds like it's a diss on the new president, with the Cherryade references coming off as kind of the Kool-Aid people are drinking when they're buying into his BS. Then again, Halfway House and the references of Looking for Mercy may be just straight up drug references. In either case, it's a pretty catchy tune.
You slide like a lizard, bark like a crab. Eyes dilated, dark to the grass. Then when you find you're invisible, you melt into a puzzle, keep it flowing like the rivers do. You gotta pay attention to the motion of the fish. Stay within the school or you're surely gonna miss. And if you lose your way, it's the cold black abyss. Don't take the chance, not worth the risk.
So Out of Body has a crazy beat that starts off as phone tones before jumping into the more thumping beat. This song is definitely about tripping while out at the club. I could totally hear Out of Body being played in a club, but it's not really meant to glorify the experience of tripping balls in a club. Instead, it's actually more about the horrors of such an activity where you leave your body and you have no control, even forgetting what the hell even happened that night.
Is this how you're feeling? Falling with the world tonight. Colorized and beautiful. Slide the line. Is this how you're healing? Out there in the Paris.
So Ticker Tape makes me feel like I'm in kind of an old movie. It has an antique quality to it, and the lyrics talk about black and white and sliding light, and it makes me think of, old movies. It's kind of about how the world is going to hell with climate change and racial divides, but that you can escape into something to ignore the world. It takes a lot to decipher some Gorillaz lyrics, so I have no clue if that's right, but I hope I'm close. But I do like it, though.
Circle out, circle out, circle out, a circle of friends. Circle out, circle out, circle out, a circle of friends. Every day, see the world brand new.
So the lyrics to this song are pretty simple. Circle of, circle of, circle of, my circle of friends. Every day, see the brand new world. Now the track starts off with the sound of things being destroyed and police sirens, and even though the lyrics would make you think that it's happy just by me reading it, if it was circle of, circle of, circle of, my circle of friends, like if it was something like that, it would be happy, but it's not. It's actually much more depressing, and it's got that really melancholy tone to it. It's less a celebration of life and more an acknowledgement of those friends that have been lost in the chaos that our world is today. So in conclusion, this album, despite the tracks that got a little bit repetitive or sounded incomplete, Humanz is a darn good album. In honesty, I had already listened to this a lot before actually sitting down to write my official review, because it was honestly just so good. Upon listening to the album more, I could hear that there was actually a bit more Gorillaz sound and vocals than I originally thought when I was listening to it in passing. Even so, it would be great if there weren't so many special guests on the next album and they kind of focused more on the core Gorillaz sound. I would like that. Of course, you know, I'm just one reviewer. So what did you think of my review of Humanz from the Gorillaz? Tell me if you agree or disagree with my review in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, make us a favorite while you're at it, and follow me on Twitter @PrincessFriendYT. May you live to see the dawn.